Eman, Flora, Serena, and Joe, why do you move?
None of us should know each other at all.
I would have never met any of you, and so I've made a lot of friends through dancing. Dancing is my way to kind of connect to my culture.
But for some reason, it's like you share something that you don't really even know, but there's that connection. And I think it's about the music.
It just makes me feel so alive. Like when you go out dancing, the music, the people, the ambiance, the cool moves, the cool styling, the swag.
A lot of people don't realize, like, guys or girls, you only dance with like a handful of people in your life.
Allowing people to be more open versus closed-minded.
Yeah, on the topic of Dance Crush, there's a Facebook group that I follow. It's Salsa Means for Spicy Teens. And throughout the years...
Say that again.
I try to make those connections because it's what makes it worth doing, when you can connect it to like why we're here and why we move.
Oh. Wait, play
Welcome back, y'all, to the Why We Move podcast. It's your host, Ricardo Topete. You're laughing at me because you're like, wow, this guy. We're here with a very special episode. We got 4 dancers from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania here joining us on the podcast. We got Eman, we got Flora, we got Serena, we got Joe. So whoever wants to go ahead, just kind of introduce yourself, tell me a little bit about you, how long you've been dancing, and what you're looking forward to on this podcast.
My name's Emmanuel. A lot of people know me as Eman. And so I've been dancing since March 2009. I live in Levittown, Pennsylvania, and got into dancing here when I moved into to Pennsylvania from Maryland.
I'm Flora, and I'm from Italy. I moved here about 4 years ago. I started dancing in Italy, and then about 2 years ago, I decided to check out the dance scene here in Philly. And so I've been dancing here in Philly about 2 years.
I'm Serena. I've been in Philly almost 4 years and dancing for a little over 2. My sister actually got me into dancing. She dances in Dallas, Texas. That's where she lives. And she introduced me to salsa first. I like bachata more. But I've been dancing for almost 2 years, and I absolutely love the dance scene here. And I'm just excited to, bond over this podcast and get to know you guys a little better.
I'm Joe. I've been dancing since 2019. I started at Lucha Cartel, dancing bachata, and fell in love with it. And the people I met ever since have been great. So just looking forward to getting to know all of you better. And yeah.
Awesome. Welcome, guys, to the podcast. I know I kind of threw you guys into the pot and, try to prepare you as best as I can. But I think that's the nature of these podcasts is just, again, it's a conversation. We already don't talk to each other a lot outside of the dance floor, or if we are talking to each other, we're yelling because there's just loud music or we're getting interrupted, because somebody taps us on the shoulder. So I think it's a unique opportunity outside from dancing and outside from just, being in that world that we can actually connect. And I think that's what I want this podcast to be. So welcome, guys. I'm very excited.
Thanks for having us.
Great to be here.
It'll be fun.
You guys ready?
Yes,
Ready to
let's
get
do
started?
it.
All right, cool. I always start this podcast with the main question, which is Eman, Flora, Serena, and Joe, why do you move?
I'll go. For me, the more I think about it, my own sovereignty over my life. Meaning, if so, everybody watching and everyone here, just think about a time where you took a risk, you tried to take control of your life, whether it was a job or a partner you were seeing or moving to a new city, whatever, and things didn't go your way. I look at that as, whether it's God or the universe, whatever you believe in, telling you, no, this is not for you. This is not your destiny. This is not, you're going back to whatever is laid out for you. And it can hurt at times because you feel like you want to take control of your life, but fate is just like, nope, that's not for you. And for me, though, something like dancing was my way of kind of taking control of my life and being able to do what I want with it. And because it feels like it's not normal. When I'm dancing, it feels like I almost shouldn't be here. Everybody else in my life is they're home, they're sleeping, they're getting ready for the next day at work. And I'm out here having this incredible experience. It feels not normal, but in a good way. Like, that's what I love about it. It feels like I'm taking control of my life and saying, no, this is what I'm going to do. And I feel like when you're able to do that, you kind of show the universe, like, I'm strong. The universe is testing you by saying your failures are putting you on this path. And you have to continue to be like, no, I'm going to do what I want. And I feel like it's like, okay, now I'm going to reward you. And this is the reward. We've talked about this before. None of us should know each other at all. We're different ages, different walks of life, cultures, everything. We never should have met each other had we just kind of followed, like, school, job, friends you grew up with, but like, that's it. And that's a good life. But like, we all took a risk in some kind of way. And that's why we're here. So that's why I move.
That's fucking beautiful,
That's
Joe.
deep.
Wow.
How are we
hard to
supposed to
follow
follow that?
That's going to be hard to follow up.
Okay, mic
The bar
drop.
right up here.
Everything else I say after this will be garbage. that was my contribution.
I'll go next. So that was beautifully said. I don't have as deep of a reason, but I moved because it's fun. It's something that makes me feel confident, and I've met a lot of great people. Like you said, like I would have never met any of you. And so I've made a lot of friends through dancing. It's a way to connect to my roots. I am Dominican, and I know that just based on looks, a lot of people might not know that. And so I feel like a lot of my life, it's almost been like an identity crisis almost of like, I don't feel like I'm Hispanic enough. I don't feel like I'm Latina enough. And so I'm not fluent in Spanish, which, is something I'm working on. But dancing is my way to kind of connect to my culture. And I've listened to like Hispanic music growing up, but I had never danced outside of family parties. And so like learning how to hone in on the different like styling maneuvers and all the turns and all the steps, like I feel like I'm doing something and it just makes me feel good. And I know that if I'm stressed with work or if I just need to have a night to let loose, like I know there's something happening almost every night in Philly. So yeah, that is why I moved. So not as profound.
That's
but-
still like a great freaking reason though, because I think that you probably can relate to a lot of people out there. I relate to you in that sense because although I grew up Mexican and I spoke the language, I still feel that. And I still feel like I just am barely connecting to my roots through music. So that's a beautiful reason. Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
Yeah, I like that. I agree with both, and I feel like I share both of your thoughts. I also like dancing because I feel like it's a way to disconnect completely from your everyday life, where you get so many thoughts and so many uncomfortable situation, whether it's work, whether it's just relationships. And you deal with a lot of stuff and stress. But then when you're dancing, I feel like everything completely goes away and it's just about having fun. It's just about the moment. And I feel like the energy is very, very positive and it just drags you in. And the people are great. They're amazing. When I moved here 2 years ago, it was a hard start. I had a different job and I was pretty much just working. All my time off, I was sleeping. And I didn't really have a group of friends. So it was rough in the beginning. But then when I started going out dancing, I feel like you meet a lot of people. And for some reason, like you were saying, you're not supposed to know each other. But for some reason, it's like you share something that you don't really even know, but there's that connection. I think it's about the music. It's something that everybody shares, even though you don't know, but you just feel it. And yeah, and then you meet people and you get to know people. And now, fast forward 2 years, I feel like this is more like home and not just a place where I live. So,
Oh, love that. I love that you said it's more like home and not a place where you live. I think I can relate to that as well because I moved here almost 2 years ago and I felt the same. Felt like I lacked community, but through dance, I found community. So thank you for being part of that community. So
Yeah,
I appreciate you being.
Yeah, the reason I move is because it just makes me feel so alive. Like when you go out dancing, the music, the people, the ambiance, the cool moves, the cool styling, the swag. And it's not only me that's like, say, me and my partner, we're having a great dance. It's like watching other people. Like I can just sit there for like an hour when I need to stop sweating for a while or something like that, and just watch other people dance. And I'm just like, just amazed by how beautiful the couple looks while they're dancing with the music and all the different elements. It's something that I just want to do until I'm the little old man on the dance floor, dancing with the other grandmas.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. It's I think something that a lot of social dancers, when they start dancing, gravitate towards. And I think even like just people who don't dance or who are maybe like passerbys and just maybe don't understand what it is, see it, and it's like something that pulls them. And I think to have that alive in you and so long dancing, it's such a beautiful thing because you can hold on to that. You know you're going to hold on to that for the rest of your life. You guys kind of went into it a little bit, but give me more of the give me the details behind what got you started. Maybe if you can remember the moment in which you got captured and a moment in which you got addicted, and essentially the ins and outs of it all.
So I was in Italy. It was about 2019, something like that. And I live in a very small town in Italy. There's not much to do, especially in the wintertime. So I was with my friend and we're like, okay, we have to find something to do because weekends get kind of boring. So we signed up to the gym and I was looking for an activity because I get quite bored at just the gym. So they had Latin dance, salsa and bachata. And we're like, okay, let's try it. It'll be fun. Monday night, 3 hours. Like, okay, let's do it. And yeah, that's how it started. And I loved the classes. I did classes for about maybe 3 months. And then I found out that there's social dancing. I'm like, what's that? So we decided to go out the one night, and that was the end. I'm like, okay, this is the spot. This is what we're doing on weekends. So then we were out social dancing, and I think it's weird how the energies in social dancing, Latin social dances, I think it's the same no matter where you are. Because even in Italy, the community was very open, welcoming, and that's what I loved in the beginning when I started there. And I felt like when I started dancing here, I found it's kind of like going back to that moment where I was on the dance floor for the first time, like social dancing. And that energy, it's just, I think, very beautiful. And it's hard to find in other spots. Like I would never go to a club by myself. Whereas I'm perfectly comfortable going social dance by myself. And
You're talking about like a square, right? Yeah,
stuff. So yeah, and we started dancing, and yeah, I think it was addicting from the beginning. And I think as all newbies to the dance floor, you go like every night, because then you find all the spots and you want to do it every night. And then you slow down a little bit because it gets also tiring. But then I stopped for a little bit and I started dancing again here about 2 years ago.
So, Flora, it sounds like we're going to Italy for a dance trip.
Let's do it. Let's do
I hear
it.
the salsa out there is crazy.
Yeah. But they only dance on one.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know there was on two. And I found out, I think it was Brazil. Somebody asked me to dance. And he was like, do you dance on one or two? I'm like, what are you talking about? I dance salsa. I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, so I'm still learning on two.
I'll kind of jump on that. So you said that you wouldn't go to like a club by yourself. So I agree. I also would not do that. But for dancing in Philly, so like I said, my sister introduced me to dancing in Dallas. But then once I was here, I was like, well, I kind of want to get into it. And so my neighbor, he's actually the one who introduced Dance Republic to me. And so I went on the Facebook. I was like, I wonder what's happening. And that's how I found Lucha. And so I went to Lucha by myself. I walked in. I was like, what is happening?
Why are people so sweaty?
Yeah, you're like, what's going on here? And so I was by myself. You know, I like danced with a couple of people. I didn't really know what I was doing, but everyone was so nice, so welcoming. And then I made friends that night, and to this day, I am still friends with them. I still see them out. We still go out dancing together. And I tell DJ Kevin all the time, like, I started here and I've seen my own growth. And so now I'm getting more into it. I used to just go casually for fun on Thursdays. But then, of course, Joe and we did the competition that Rico won because he's just better than everyone.
No.
We were tough competitors though.
You guys you guys are
We gave it
great.
everybody.
Honestly, I was looking over my shoulder. They're doing do spins. All right, let's do 3 spins.
I couldn't even concentrate on what we were doing, let alone watching other people.
I blacked out too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, so we did that for shits and giggles. But we did do a good job. And so I think that is when I like a switch went off and I was like, I do want to take this more seriously. And so we practiced, and then that's how I found out that there are things that happen on weekends other than lucha. And so just going to more events during the week, like multiple times a week, I think I'm like actually starting to get into dancing more. And it's just, I don't think I'll go back.
Beautiful. Love that. The addiction.
So when I finished college in Maryland, I moved here to Pennsylvania, and I was doing a software development job. And I just had a lot of free time after work. So I decided to let me get into a Photoshop class, do some designing, do something creative. And I was doing more IT support in the classes than actual learning the product. So I was like, okay, this is not for me. So then I took a few months of electric guitar lessons, and that was a lot of fun. But then the turning point was when the CEO of my company put a coupon in our paychecks for 1 month of beginner classes at La Luna Dance Studio. So I'm like, oh, well, this thing's pretty cool. Let me give it a shot. And so took my first beginner class there, and I was hooked immediately. And the second one, I was on my notepad making little notes of all the moves because I would want to come to class, super prepared. And by the third class, I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is no more Photoshop, no more electric guitar lessons. That's in the past. I'm going full force on this. And so then I took the next month intermediate level classes. And then after a month, I was like, all right, I'm ready to do this social dancing thing I keep hearing about, And so I decided to go. It was a social above Il Portico, and I think on Walnut. And it was called the Deso at the time. And I went there, and the dance floor was just full of people just doing all these cool moves. It was mainly salsa. And I just sat at the end of the bar just for 2 hours. I didn't even dance at all. I didn't ask anyone to dance. I'm not ready to do this. I was like, I'm gonna need classes 7 days a week if I'm ever gonna dance like these people. So then I went to the studio again, and I was taking both the intermediate level 1 and level 2. And then I started going to the studio socials to kind of get into it. But then that just wasn't enough. I was like, I want to get better. I want more. So then I started jumping into the advanced class, where I definitely wasn't ready because I've only been dancing 3 months. And so the instructor at the time, Jose Maldonado, he kept telling me nope, you're a beginner, get out of here. And so that happened for about 4 weeks. And then at one point they needed some guys because there was way too many follows. And then he was like, okay, you can do this. Just do what I tell you to do. Don't hurt anyone. And I was like, yes. So it was a challenge. And then, I just kept the addiction going, and then I started seeing a lot of the super advanced dancers were also doing performances. So then I started getting into performances because of that. So did that for probably a good 8-ish years. And then I took a break for a while.
And now you're here.
Now I'm here, yeah.
Back at it again.
Mm-hmm, that's right. The addiction returns. The revenge of the addiction.
It's a relapse in the best way possible, right? Yeah. And what about you, Joe?
So 2019, there wasn't really one thing that made me jump into this, but it was a whole bunch of, I was trying to learn the language. I was listening to a lot of Spanish music. I was seeing someone who was Latina. And I always felt comfortable slow dancing, at weddings or whatever. And I wasn't good, but it never some people were kind of freaked out by it, but I was always comfortable at least with that. So I was like, I should learn how to dance somehow. And I didn't want to go I was picturing ballet poles and mirrors and you gotta be I'm the only dude and whatever.
And tights and everything.
Yeah. So I feel that's I was like, if only there was a casual way to go about this. And I think I just Googled salsa lessons, Philly. And I happened to be free Thursday nights, bachata Thursdays. I'm like, well, what the hell is bachata? So I Googled what is bachata and I read the description of it. And I over romanticize the shit out of everything. So when I read the description, it's slower, it's a little bit easier in my opinion. It's more sensual. I was like, okay, this is like right up my alley. So Bachata Thursdays, I went to the lesson with Kevin, and that place is special, man. I don't remember the first time I was there. I don't really remember, but I do remember the majority of like my first, just like you, I would do the lesson, right? Just kind of struggle through it. And then I would say like they would let all the assassins loose. All these people would come in that, were regulars there and they were so good. And I was like, why aren't they doing the lesson? Like I was totally lost. I would force myself to dance like once and then I was out of there at like 11:30, just like sadly walking back to my car. But I was like, I gotta figure this shit out. So did that. COVID hit, so then I took like a whole year off because everything was shut down. And then when it came back, though, it just kept going. Just kept going, kept showing up. I don't belong to like a studio. I just do the socials, and then eventually you meet people. You go to the other socials. You do more lessons that are a little bit more geared towards the experienced learner, not just like someone coming in off the street. And yeah, no, I was like, I kept it a secret too. For whatever reason, I didn't tell anyone. Like I knew it was something special. And I was like, I need to like kind of hone this craft before I'm like, oh yeah, I do this thing. Like I really respected it. I treated going to lucha like going to the gym. I didn't drink. I wanted to meet people and all that, but I wanted to learn. And every time I would go, I would just go and like business. And then everything else came naturally. And now I introduced a few people that are close to me to it, and watching it happen to them, it's like the greatest feeling. Totally. When my younger sister turned 21, I said to my older sister, I was like, we'll get her. It's time.
Wait, you got two sisters?
Yeah, I have an older sister too.
So I forget your sister's name. Who comes out dancing? What's
Sophia is the younger one. Yeah, she was the last time you were at Lucha, she was there. Right. Yeah.
And so your older sister doesn't dance though?
No, she does. I actually brought her first. She just happened to be free, and it was like around her birthday. And I was going out. It was Thursday, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And she was off on Friday. I was like, "What are you doing tonight?" She's like, "Nothing." I was like, "You come with me." And then that I pushed her into the whole thing. She was like nervous because a lot of people don't realize, like, guys or girls, you only dance with like a handful of people in your life. Prom, weddings, your wife, like 10, 12, maybe. Like maybe sometimes at a club, and like you remember it. So when you're dancing with like 30 in a night, it's like jarring. But then, you get used to it. So watching her go through it and a couple other people that I introduced it to, it's just like, it's great. It's great because you see what you went through, but from the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys should start like a team, like a shine team, you and your two sisters. That'd be so dope.
No. It's a pure enjoyment. I just love it.
Very cool. Thank you guys for sharing the beautiful stories. I talk to a lot of people who, in my realm of work of videography, like I just meet a lot of different types of clients and businessmen and women. And as soon as they find out like I dance, they're like, what is that like? And it's so cool seeing their eyes light up when you like show them a video. And they're just like, you see that like explosion, like almost that aneurysm in their brain, right? Like, oh my God, that's a thing. Maybe not really, but it's such a cool thing to share. And I think cool to see, like to your point, Joe, of seeing it in other people's eyes when they light up and when they get into the dancing. We kind of touched on it a little bit, but I want to ask you specifically to each of you, what do you most enjoy about social dancing? If you could just pin it down, what is the one thing you absolutely enjoy the most about social dancing?
It's a way to express myself. I feel like I'm a pretty outgoing, bubbly person, but when you're moving and you're using your body and you're like, your personality shines through on the dance floor, and I think that's my favorite part of it. I've always been an active person. I was an athlete most of my life, and so then once I stopped running and competing and doing all of that, I feel like I needed an outlet for my energy and to move and find a way to express myself in other ways. Like running was my whole like life. And then after you're an athlete, like sometimes people are like, I don't know what to do now. And so now I feel like I'm a dancer. I'm other things, but it is a way to express myself. So
Yeah, I really love the learning aspect of it. Like I love taking classes. I can take classes like every day of the week. if it was offered and just practice. I feel like there's like so many secrets to be unlocked. Like when I'm watching other people, I'm like, how is that even possible? Like how are their arms like not tangled and they're just like messing it up? Just looks so cool and intricate, but then so beautiful at the end. Like it's just one move, but it's really the overall dance that I pin it to. Just having like a great connection with your partner, with the music, being in sync, just having a great overall dance, and just leaving with that final hug, thanks for the dance, and then like being like, yes, nailed it. You know?
I think it's just very beautiful when you have it's a connection, right? And with music, I feel like it's two bodies, but it's also one. So you move and you feel that movement between your body and your partner. I mean, your dance partner, and it just feels good, and it's a happy place. And I think it's beautiful. And like you were saying before, I also really, really enjoy watching other people dance. And it's like, how did they do that? And sometimes you don't know a move until somebody does it. I'm like, how did I even do that? Like, what just happened? And I think that's very fun. And the part that I really enjoy, like meeting a lot of people and connecting with people. And like you were saying, Serena, before, like the energy, like your personality shows. Like, so sometimes when you dance with people, like, oh, that was like very nice. And then you like connect with them, and it just starts from the dance, like where you don't really talk. It's just like movement, but you feel it. So I think that's very nice. And it's hard to find in other spots. Like I personally never found it anywhere else. I don't know about you guys, but just like a communication without words. It's just like music and like body movement, but you connect.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel the exact same way. Like I love the utility of this skill, like as opposed to like, I don't know. There's a lot of other things that are really cool to learn how to do, but like I like the fact that if we wanted to, any of us could get on a plane, fly to the other side of the earth, get off, and have this connection with someone without saying a word. And there's a community for it like everywhere. So yeah, to back up your point, the connection is just like, it's awesome. When you do something and you see like on the girl's face, like she lights up, she smiles, and you're like, wow, she's really having fun. It's like, it's so rewarding, you know? And then the next dance, you like mess up. You're like, I just totally killed whatever momentum I had.
That's awesome. No, it's definitely like a lot of things. I tell a lot of people who, again, maybe just don't have or might not have ever experienced a social dance before. It's everything everywhere all at once. It's so many things that are happening. You're using so many parts of your body, your mind. It's like it's such a crazy, chaotic world that obviously has its goods, like we just talked about, but then also its bads that not a lot of people talk about. And I think I want to kind of start to tailor this conversation into there. I know it's not not in the list of questions that I sent y'all, but I think it's very important. I think if you've seen episodes of the podcast, it's something that I like to go into every single time because it's the problem that we're having in the dance world that I think needs addressing. And so I kind of want to start and lead this question more, and you can go into you can go as deep into it as you'd like. But what are some of the issues that you have faced, the challenges that you have faced socially in the social dance world? Being that you guys have danced here, maybe in Philly, and you can relate it to somewhere else in other parts of the city, but in general, what are those challenges?
I feel like for the most part, I haven't had bad experiences, and I can maybe count on one hand, like not, and I wouldn't classify it like as bad experience, but maybe a little uncomfortable. And they all came from people that were not part of the community, maybe people that were just randomly finding a spot to be on a Thursday night or Friday night. So I'm like, oh, let's just check out the spot. What is it, Brazil? Lucha. So they just happen to be there, but they're not regular. And they maybe see the scene in a different way. Like they see it as, a way to maybe flirt with people or, put maybe the follower in an uncomfortable situation, uncomfortable position. So I think that could happen, but for the most part, I would say it's uncommon. at least I haven't had like very bad experience with it.
I'm like nodding my head, but I know for the people just listening, you can't see me nodding my head. But yeah, I agree. I feel like bachata is very sensual. People who don't understand really what it is, they can maybe misconstrue it and look at it as more sexual, which if I'm dancing with someone and they like cross any like physical boundaries, I like tell them like, hey, like don't do that. Yeah.
Like that's gonna last like less than 10 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if the hand is too low or too high, I'm like, ooh, fix that. But just, I think the flirting thing, like if people dance with me and they think that because like there's this energy and we had a good dance, that means that they can ask me for my number and like, think that I want to, go on a date with them or something. I like tell people like I'm not comfortable giving away my number. Like maybe I'll follow you on Instagram, but I do think that people who aren't part of the community, they can show up, they get drinks, they're having a good time, and they just don't understand really what social dancing is. And if you are at a club, it's a different scene. Like, yes, like you can go there to pick up girls, guys, whatever. But when I go social dancing, it is strictly for dancing, and I'm having, a wholesome time. And so I don't like feeling like I'm getting all of this like weird energy sometimes from people. But I don't get that a lot. And I don't normally, yeah.
I don't think it's a common thing.
No.
It just happens like randomly here and there. But overall, I think it's a very safe place. And like you were saying, I mean, there's issue. Nothing is 100% perfect. But overall, I feel very safe. I always leave my purse. I never had problems. I can walk in, by myself. I can walk out, and I'm perfectly comfortable. So I think overall, it's very positive.
I'm struggling to find like some negative experiences maybe I've had were like kind of almost of my own doing, just kind of like messing up. Maybe like you don't want to make the girl feel uncomfortable, but you also want to try a move and it doesn't go well, and then she's looking at you and you're like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. But I feel like the people, there definitely are people who don't understand the scene, and just ask yourself, like, why are you doing this? Are you in it for the right reasons? If you're doing it because you just want to hook up, you don't belong there. And eventually those people get weeded out anyway. But if you're doing it because like, this is cool. I like the connection. I like the people. I want to learn. I want to get better. That authenticity will bring you, like, you'll get past all those stops. And, things do happen and it's never right. But thankfully, the community is awesome because you have, you can talk to the DJ, there's the door guy, there's all the other dancers that that you can go to, the bartenders usually. You could always go to, whether you're a guy or a girl, and say like, hey, I'm not feeling right about X, Y, Z. And everybody is like so willing to help. I'm definitely not trying to, deny anything bad happens, but I feel like it's overwhelmingly like a good environment,
Yeah, I'm along with Joe here. Like, I'm struggling to find a few things to talk about, but like, I mean, I have had a lot of friends that did tell me where some of the dances were taken way too far, where some guys at the end of the dance would actually kiss their follow, and just it's very inappropriate.
That's wild.
Yeah,
That is wild.
That's bold, super bold.
I hear that and I'm just like, the audacity to go in with your lips to like, what? Like, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, sometimes when you dance with someone, you just have like a connection, and you
Very
have
true.
like this there is this energy, but that's where like people can get confused and think that it's something more. But going in to kiss someone, that's crazy.
Yeah, there's been a number of those. And yeah, guys getting too handsy, and then, you hear about issues at congresses where people are having too much to drink and kind of
Yeah.
taking things too far. So that's one thing that, people really have to, I would say everyone has to keep their guard up. Like, the guys have to be more responsible and not get, not drink too much, not get too handsy. And, just, I would say everybody just should keep their drinking under control. You're just safer in general that way.
Amen. Yeah, I think it was on, I forget which podcast. Maybe it was Joe and Yats, where they were talking about drinking on the dance floor. And for me, in my mind, I thought about like, you wouldn't trust yourself in an Uber ride with somebody who's been drinking, like, right? Imagine your Uber driver having a couple, even just like sips or whatever. I would still feel uncomfortable putting my life in their hands. It's almost, I think, in my head, similar dancing with somebody who's intoxicated. Like last night at Bach Bar, I danced with somebody who was intoxicated, who was clearly like unhinged in their movements. And every time I went to go lead a crossbody lead in salsa, they would pull so hard on my shoulder, and it just felt like it was about to yank out. And I was like I don't want to, like, respectfully, I was like, let's just keep it here. And I did like open position. But at that point, I think to your point is it's maybe not the best decision. You know, I'm not trying to like crush anybody's crutch or whatever they want to use to, you know, be recreational in their time. But I think when you mix these two together specifically, it can go a little wrong.
I know I feel so unsteady if I drink and dance.
I was gonna say I don't think I could spin if I drink.
No. Yeah, my center of gravity's all off. I'm like, what? No. So I typically try not to drink and dance unless like I know that I'm not going to be dancing for too long or I'm not going to be doing any like crazy turns.
Yeah, nice pregame shot. You know, no big deal. But honestly, I don't even think about it while I'm dancing. Like drinking is not even like, it's too busy. There's a bunch of people at the bar. You really can't get to it. Like if it's somebody's birthday or something, but like drinking is the last thing on my mind. When I'm there, I'm like more like, you know, trying to recall things, trying to mix things up. I'm not really worried about drinking. So I feel like that's the majority of people too. They might have like a drink or two, but I think I've only danced with one girl I can remember that was like, she was totally like gone bad, like really bad. And, you know, but it's people, it's alcohol, like it happens.
I think for me too, when I first started dancing and drinking, I realized like I would sober up really fast because I would just be sweating it all out, and I'd be like, "What's the point? I just spent $20. I'm not, like, come on," you know. But anyways, you know, on that tangent, I think it's a very interesting thing to see people who, you know, use dance or use drinking and then dancing, and then it just kind of goes all kinds of wrong, you know. And there's people who definitely can't handle. Like, props to those people. I wish I could be them, but I think I like saving money too. Let's go into talking about some misconceptions. So I know we kind of already talked about it, and Serena, you kind of harped on it about like bachata being more sexual versus sensual in people's minds when they first see it. What are some other common misconceptions from dancing that you guys could highlight? And it doesn't have to be that specifically. It could be anything. You know, if you're a dancer, you're this kind of person. If you go out on a Monday night, you do this. Those kinds of things.
I would say one thing, like I social dance regularly, and I'm not like some big party animal. Like I social dance and I try to get to bed by like 2 a.m. so I can be a fully functional human by 9 o'clock. So I feel like you can still go out most nights of the week and still be a good working professional.
Okay. I like that. Man.
I mean, I feel like I heard Joe and Eureka talking about how like sometimes people think because you're going out, like you're with all these girls, you're like the man because you're dancing with so many different people and you're there to like get girls. And so I feel like sometimes people do think that that's the only reason why we dance is to like hit on people, and that's not true. We dance because we enjoy it.
And to touch on that, recently I introduced one of my coworkers to also lucha and dancing. And I remember one of her first nights there when she was just checking out the place, the vibe. And one of her first impression was, wow, this is very close. It's very intimate dance. And but then as soon as you try it, if you just allow yourself to fully experience it, you completely remove that initial misconception that you may have just by how it looks. And you realize that it's just like dance. It's just a connection. It is a sensual movement, but it's also a very beautiful, way to express yourself. And it's in a respectful way. And I think before you can even step on the dance floor, you need to be respectful and allow yourself to trust the other person, but also give the trust before you even take a step. I think those are the two most important things. And I think most people in the community know that and dance with that in mind. And I think that's a very positive thing that the community could also share outside of the community, because I think any kind of relationship, whether it's dance or outside of dance, I think it's important that starts with that respect and trust. So I think that's a very positive thing that we have, and that we can bring as a community outside also the community.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's like allowing people to be more open versus closed-minded, and
Yeah, just give it a shot. Just try it and then let's talk about it.
A lot of times too, I feel like a lot of people like on the outside that don't do this, they kind of don't understand why it kind of takes over your life in a way when you start. And I think it's a big misconception is like this, for me at least, is actual fun. Like it's a good old fashioned, like people are having a great time. And I can only speak from the male experience, right? But you guys tell me if you've ever experienced this. You go out with your friends, right? You're going out to the bar, club, whatever. You wait in line, pay this crazy cover, you get in, you can't move. Drinks are getting spilled. It's super loud, the music sucks. And everybody's doing this with the drink that they fought to get. They're all doing this.
That's right.
And then the next day, yo, that was sick. That was sick. Dude, yo, we tore that place up. We're going there next week. And we all just buy into it. And I know if you were to take every person aside and be like, are you really having fun? They'd be like, no, but we're doing the thing. This is the thing that we got to do because we're young and sometimes it's fun. Don't get me wrong. But when you go social dancing, it's night and day. People are just smiling. They're having fun. They're happy to see each other. And, you know, you make a connection, you go home. It's not committal. It's like, so I guess like for somebody who doesn't do this, not only is it so accessible, like go do it so you could understand, but like, that's why I feel like a lot of times when you start and you like it, you start doing this more and you don't go out as much. Like out, like just with your friends because you prefer to be here dancing, you know? Not here, but like.
come on, Joe, what are you saying? You don't want to be here?
Dude, I was hoping we would break out right here. We just start playing.
The backdrop right here. I got the speaker in the corner. No, that's a great point. I think most nights, whenever even like, actually that's a lie. I still have, let me rephrase it this way. I still have the bug in me to want to go dance even when I'm out socially and I'm not dancing. Like there's something in my body that's like, you need to go dance, bro. Like whatever, you know, is going on here, you're having dinner with friends or, you know, I'm sorry, y'all, but like, I love you, but I also really love dancing. And so like, there's that kind of like itch almost per se. But I can definitely relate to that. I was definitely that guy. I was like, yeah.
No, we all do it. But then there comes a time where you're like, this is just ridiculous, man. Like, come on.
Too much money, too much wasted time. And I mean, and again, like it's fun. It can be fun, but there's also other fun things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the same thing. Like, I mean, I've never really gone to those kind of clubs every once in a while, like maybe for New Year or something like that. But like, yeah, the bouncing around thing is like, that's something that it's just not that enjoyable compared to dancing because dancing is so interactive. You're doing something with another person for the entire night, you know, with multiple people. And then, you know, depending on where you're at, you know, you can take a break and you can just catch up with people, especially if you've been dancing for a long time. You can go down like memory lane and talk to like some old friends and catch up. And that's one thing that I love about the community is kind of like, you know, you don't see someone for like 5, 6, 7 years and you're like, hey, what happened? You know, and it's, you know, you get to hear a whole new story, like a whole other life that they had. And then they're back.
That's the reason why I like traveling a lot and going dancing to different cities, especially back in Portland where I'm from, because it's so cool to see. It's like, you know, where your friends are versus having to schedule and like hit people up when you're being like, hey, what are you doing this day? I'm gonna be in town. It's like, I already know where you're gonna be in town. I just gotta show up. So shout out to all the homies in Portland. I love you guys. And everywhere else too. It's such a cool thing to have. Also that like aspect too of like, you know, these people in these different cities and be able to connect with so many people. And all through music, like what you said earlier, Flora, it's just the one thing we need, you know, and of course our bodies. But I'm curious to ask you guys now this next question. And I think all of you I've seen on the dance floor have something unique about you. And it's that sazon, that flavor, that, you know, little thing that you put out onto the dance floor with the people that you're dancing with. What is the one, or what do you believe is the one key thing to becoming a better social dancer, a specific, better social dancer? What do you think that thing is?
For followers especially, I think just following. Like, I was told when I first started dancing that I was stiff. That's not a good thing to hear. So just learning how to follow, knowing that, if you have a moment to style, like absolutely you can, but that you don't want to get in the way of whatever your lead wants to do. I think even for new dance styles that you might not really know, as long as you're a good follower, you can kind of still get through the dance without like falling on your face.
Can you explain a little bit what is following? What is good following, at least?
Yeah, so just knowing the different cues, like the subtle hand movements, or knowing that if, my hand goes like this, it's about to be a turn, or knowing, kind of how to body roll with someone without like running into them. I think like there are like lessons you can take to kind of learn different moves, because sometimes a lead will do a move and I've never seen it before, and so I don't know how to follow it. But just knowing, like listening to the music, being on time with everything, making sure that you're not kind of fighting with your lead. That way it's just a smooth dance, if that answers the question.
Absolutely. No, I think that's a gem. It's a gem of a tip.
Just keep coming. That's it. And that's with like life and everything too. Just most of life is just showing up. Show up with the right intentions, and the rest will just fill in. Like, unless you're trying to like, make a career out of it or become this like superstar. But if you're just trying to be good at it and enjoy yourself, you have the rest of your life to learn. Just keep coming. That's it. Like, don't worry about like, I don't understand how to do. It will work itself out. Keep showing up. Ask yourself why you're doing it. Be authentic with why you're there, and just keep coming.
Beautiful. I like that. My dad once told me when I was really young, he said whenever I would like think about how hard school was, because at 7 years old, when you're struggling at basic addition scales, you want to just quit life, But he always told me, just don't quit for one more day. Just do that every day, and you'll be great. And I think it speaks to that. It's like, just don't think about it too hard. Just keep showing up and just be you and don't quit.
I agree. I was going to say something similar in the sense that everybody everybody started not knowing how to do it, right? So it's okay if you don't know how to do it, right? But practice makes everything better. So a little bit at a time, you just keep showing up and keep trusting also your the theater. And I love following because I like just get in there and I don't have to think about anything. I'm just gonna follow whatever he wants to do or she wants to do. I'm good. It'll be fun, and I think it's just a matter of practice and having fun, not taking it too seriously. And I think the community is good also because there's all different levels. There's like really good people, there's people starting out, and everybody dances with everybody. And everybody's very patient, I feel. I always end all my dances. Nobody ever walked away from me on a dance floor. I'll be traumatized if that happens. But just kidding. I think, everybody's very welcoming. So just allow yourself time. Don't take it too seriously, and it'll be good. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I think a lot of people said a lot of the same things about practicing. I know that I've taken workshops and gone to congresses and taken a bunch of classes, and I have my phone just full of all these videos, and then I'm like not practicing them at all, and then keep getting new videos and just not practicing. So like the key is like you become what you practice. I heard that like on a YouTube video recently, and like when you take these, you like take a break from the workshops and maybe just practice the last few months that you learned, to like really commit them to memory and actually learn and the moves and to do them properly. Because if you and I know I've done this at a Congress where I take a workshop that day and then I do that move that night. But I try to practice it with people in the rooms, in the room parties, like, hey, let me show you guys what I learned, and then I do it. And so that helps commit it to memory. But if I don't get that chance to practice it that weekend or like right after, it's just like, take the time to practice it, to really learn it.
It's homework, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, beautiful. It's really good tips. I think to get to that next level, I think to get to where you want to be, there's work that needs to be put in. And I think to your guys' points, it it just requires time. It requires you showing up, and it also requires grace. I think to your guys' points of saying is like having fun and like committing to learning the role in which you're practicing, be it following, be it leading, be it whatever. Um, and also digging up through all those archives. I probably have like, I don't know, 600 gigabytes worth of videos of all the congresses that I still haven't gone through. Um, but yeah, good tips, y'all. Good tips. I think we can actually jump right into this topic. I think this is a very good one because it's essentially like what makes us unique. And I had a conversation with Pablo recently. Shout out Pablo. He's not on social media right now, but he's taking a break, about the authenticity of yourself while you're in rooms like this or in freaking podcasts. It's like, yes, these cameras exist, and yes, this is like not scripted, but I think this is what matters the most, is this authentic conversation. And for those who are listening, for those who are watching, this is like the real raw moment of us coming together, and really like speaking alive these topics that are things that we live on now a daily basis. I know you, Joe, for the last, how long have you been dancing straight? Like 7 days now?
Dancing straight. This weekend it'll be every night.
Okay, so yeah, there we go. So so it's like probably too many to count. But I think we can go into just like what makes dancing so different for you than any other hobby, any other interest?
I would say it's unlike any other hobby. Like other hobbies that I have, like say like snowboarding, ice skating, roller skating, playing pool. There's nothing like it. Like I guess if I was like a figure skater and like learned a routine or something like that, maybe I could like translate some of that. But it's completely unique, with the music and another partner and sharing that experience. It's very special.
Do you feel, and we can get into this or not, but like I've had this this thing happen recently where like somebody got very jealous when I was dancing, and this is the reason why I bring it up, is somebody got very jealous of me dancing with somebody else after I just danced with them, that they just like ignored me the rest of the night. And I was just like I'm sorry, I'm not in a relationship with you, like I barely know you, like about 5 minutes ago I just met you. So have you guys had that experience at all?
I mean, I kind of touched on that earlier, where some people think that because you're dancing and it's a good dance, that they are like married to you all of a sudden. And so, I mean, it happens, but you just have to keep going and, don't like ignore them. Like ignoring people that's rude, but.
We've all heard this term before, but like your dance crush, or somebody who's crushing on you, they're your or you're their dance crush. Have you guys had that? Have you guys experienced that?
I mean, there's people that maybe you enjoy dancing more, and then people that, you're okay dancing with. But maybe I think it's more of a matter of, maybe how you flow. It's about energy, I think, if that makes sense.
What do you think is different from those connections versus just regular ones that you dance with? Like, what can you explain to me what that feeling is?
I think you just connect with some people more than others, I think. And and then the dancing just reflects that.
I don't know, the flow's different somehow. Just the movements maybe are different. They come out better with some people than the others. I think it's a matter of just how you connect, I think.
Yeah, I mean, dance crushes I think are a thing, but then on the opposite side of that, there's like people I don't like dancing with, and nothing against them. It's like, it's not like they're going across any boundaries. It's just like there are some people I don't like dancing with, and I'm not the kind of person I'm gonna say no. I have a hard time saying no in general, but like I think it's like there's both sides to it.
Yeah, I think that's what I mean by, some people, it's just a matter of, I don't know if the movement comes out better, or it's just maybe you maybe know that person more. But yeah, I enjoy dancing with some people more than others. Now, I'm the same way. I hate saying no. So normally if I need to take a break, I'm like, okay, let's do next one. I feel like it's rude saying no.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, I do enjoy some people are over others.
It's a comfort thing. I mean, when you're comfortable dancing with someone, it's going to be better. But that comfort can build over time also.
Everybody's my dance crush. No, honestly, that's what I love about all these events. Like, I like not telling anyone where I'm going and then go, and it's like, all right, who's here? And you like when I see you guys, I'm like, this is awesome. The gang's here. Like I love that. And even some people that like I have a hard time dancing with because they're just like really new and they're kind of all over the place. I was there not long ago. So like, and if, people didn't tolerate me, I might have, who knows? I wouldn't have stayed with it. Maybe I think I would have, but, yeah, you got to just, as long as everyone's being respectful, you see me out, ask me for a dance, I'll say yes, no matter what, unless I'm too sweaty, which happens sometimes.
Joe, all right, Joe, you're like I'm a lover, not a fighter kind of guy.
Yeah. I mean, that's I like dancing with other people, and yeah, even if it's not going well, like you got to just focus on your basic. Then you can never practice that too much. So
Yeah, on the topic of Dance Crush, there's a Facebook group that I follow. It's Salsa Memes for Spicy Teens. And throughout the years...
Say that again.
Salsa Memes for Spicy Teens.
And
for a while, it was called Spicy Quarantines. But then, COVID was over. So anyways, I mean, it's one of the dance memes group. It's really good. It's a riot. And so throughout the years, people post things about, their dance crushes. And like, I would say the things with a dance crush is someone you really enjoy dancing with, like to the point that you're fantasizing having a relationship with them, but you don't confess your love to them. You just enjoy the dance and you torture yourself with it.
Ooh, it's like unrequited love kind of shit.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Oh,
So that's like, I feel like the definition of a dance crush.
And you're saying you have one of these.
Oh yeah, like multiple a month, They come in and go there. It's like a revolving door.
Another lover, not a fighter over here. Okay, all right. No, I that's so funny you say that. I think there's, again, it's so, we're doing a crazy thing with our bodies to loud music. It's hard not to get into that kind of emotional state, right? And I've talked about this in very previous episodes, but I'm curious to hear your guys', opinions and your thoughts about like what is the barrier that you put on for yourself? Because I know like we kind of already spoke on, for you, for example, Serena, like you don't like giving your phone number out, or going on a date after a dance because you just like have that connection with somebody during a dance and it's just a dance, which I think we can all relate to. But there's also that component of ourselves that we like want love. I think it's a human thing to want, right? To desire, to be desired, to be loved, to be, to have attention, right? And so, one, maybe let's start this series of questions with the first one being, one, have you experienced that? And two, what boundaries do you put on yourself so that you keep dance just a dance and not anything more with your dance crush or crushes?
I feel like I'm about to be the biggest hypocrite. I don't like giving out my number, and I feel like it's just I'm not there for that. But there are some couples who they met dancing, and it's like they dance together, and it's the most beautiful thing. And I am a hopeless romantic, and I'm like, that would be so cute. But it's like, I guess I'm not like 100% against it, but I don't seek that out. I don't go out dancing for that reason. It's like if someone is going to like absolutely like blow my mind and it's like an undeniable connection, I can't say no, but I'm not inviting people to like ask me for my number, if that makes sense. Like I don't want to shit where I eat necessarily, but I also don't want to turn down my future husband. So it depends.
I think it's important to remember why you're there, right? You're there to have a good time. You're there to enjoy yourself. And for me, it's also like a way to unplug, like a happy place, right? So keep it drama free. And it can be more than that. I mean, if like future husband, what you were saying, right, happens, then it's great. But at the same time, it doesn't, like, that's not what we're necessarily there for. And even if it does happen, I think it's still important to be able to still dance with other people. I mean, not become like close just to that person just because now we're together, right? I think if you just go back to remember why you're there. You're there. It's a happy place to have fun, and you connect with a lot of different people, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a relationship, right? It's a dance, and we're there to enjoy ourselves. If it happens, good. If it doesn't, it's okay. And if it happens, you can still dance with other people as well and have a good time. And
I would say whenever I have a dance, I always want to make sure that my partner is safe and secure. Like not only with the people around us and getting stepped on or bumped or elbowed, but also with my personal interaction. You know, say we have 3 dances in a row. I'm like, all right, cut it off. You know, I don't want to like dance with her all night or give the wrong impression. Like keep asking her to dance like I'm being overbearing. But sometimes we just have really multiple dances in a row, and I want to end it that way. And say if like I'm talking with a friend for a while, like I also want to dance, but also don't want to seem like, especially if I'm not close friends with that person already, that they get the impression that I'm hitting on them. Because I have heard that about that before. They're like, I'll be like, oh, hey, I want to send you some events. Let's connect on Facebook. And she'll be like, are you hitting on me? And I was like, do you feel uncomfortable? And she's like, no, well, I'm not hitting on you. So I would say just keep it casual and just friendly, and just don't, once you feel like you're talking too much, like, you know, say, hey, great talking to you, I'm gonna go dance.
That's always so hard too. I think like interrupting, either wanting to end a conversation, 3 things: either wanting to end a conversation to go dance, interrupting somebody while they're talking and interrupting a conversation, or being interrupted in your conversation. You know what I mean? It's like everybody like has this ear now. I think that after you've been dancing a while, like you know when the song is ending and when the next song is coming up. So you kind of like start to tailor the conversation, whether you're talking with somebody or they're talking to you, and you're like, okay, all right, okay, now let me go dance, kind of thing, or I want to go dance, or interrupting somebody while they're talking to go and dance. And it's like you never want to be either, but you also understand that it just happens naturally. But also I think using that, I think, is a tool for me in a sense to relate to that, is like if I feel uncomfortable too and somebody's, you know, either hitting on me or they're trying to make an intention to, I like use the music to be like, oh, thanks for the talk, I actually want to go dance. So like that's kind of my secret move. If I feel uncomfortable, you see me just dart out the way, then that's me.
One line I do say is if I'm dancing with a girl and she's like kind of like hanging on, she's like, no, let's do another one. And I'm just, maybe I feel like she's interested and I can't reciprocate. I'll just say, I want you to dance with other people because that's how you get better. And that usually, yeah, because that's the truth too. Like I want to dance with other people. That's how you get better. You can't just have one partner all the time, because then, you know, you get used to each other, you develop bad habits. So I always say that.
It's like it's not you, it's me kind of.
Yeah, kind of just a way to like kind of break, you know, and not be rude and just be like, all right, bye now. Just, I want you to dance with other people so you can get better. That's the best way to do it. That's why you're here, right? And aside from that, though, I just, you know, we're living life. So like if something happens, it happens. Just ask yourself, like, are you be respectful? Make sure the safety thing is big. Make sure she feels comfortable and open with you. And if something happens, like, yeah, like when you're going to get coffee in the morning, like, yeah, maybe somebody might come up to you and say, hey, I like your look, whatever. Like, I'd like to get your number. You're not expecting that. You don't want that, really. But you never know. It might be the one. So, like, being open to, like, you're not doing a bad thing if you're just attracted to someone. But you have to go about it responsibly. We're all adults. You know what I mean? And it sucks because people suck. So there's people who abuse it, people who don't have control of themselves. But I guess just like focus on you. Focus. Why am I here? What am I doing? And how am I going to feel about this tomorrow? Am I making her uncomfortable? Then like stop. Get control of your emotions. You're getting control of your body, getting control of your emotions. That's what I love about it. It's like you're totally just, you're being in tune with yourself. And not everybody can do that, depending on like, they don't have the opportunity to do that in their own lives outside of dancing. That's why being creative is important. I think, because you have to kind of be in control of your emotions, especially when you're broadcasting it to other people. You want them to receive it the way that you perceive in your mind. So, but if you're out of control, they're not going to get the message. It's the same thing. So I don't think about it, but be safe out there.
Cool. So thank you guys again for sharing your opinions today. It's been such a great episode. I think a lot of people are gonna hopefully tune into this and understand that, we were all here once. We're all still here, and we're learning, and we're never gonna get perfect, but we're gonna be always on our path to perfection in a way, or mastery, whatever you want to call it. And so, again, I just want to shed light on you guys for being here, for bringing your energy, and just essentially just committing to the dance scene, because there's already so many things you're doing off the dance floor that you bring into the dance floor that's so positive. And so, I think it's so cool that, for me, really, this is more of a selfish thing for me to hear you guys, and your thoughts and your opinions, and everything that you've kind of constructed around in your brain about dance. And I hope that everybody who's watching and listening can kind of take that in as well. And I know they will. So let's start to close this out. I want to hear about any, like, realistic things outside of the dance. Not realistic, because dancing is real, but any things outside of the dance floor that you can incorporate into dancing. So say, for example, my videography, I take a lot of my creative thoughts and I bring it into dance, in the sense of using that right part of my brain when I'm dancing to think about new combos and new things like that. But it could mean any kinds of things. What are things in your guys' personal lives outside of dancing that you bring into dancing? And maybe vice versa.
I would say with IT work, with the work that I do, building infrastructure in the cloud, we have to take a lot of notes. And so we want to share those notes with the team. But I have a list of moves, like on a Google Doc, that I
Like listed dance moves?
yes,
Nice.
that I
Okay.
quick reference, because sometimes I'll be going out and I'll be like, man, why do I feel like I'm only doing like my favorite 10 moves? Because you always default to your favorite moves. But I have other moves that I love to do, but I just can't recall them. And so the documentation that I do at work, and also, reflects on the documentation I do with dance, is to write down the moves. But sometimes I have to watch the video, because I'll write a note and I'll be like, I don't understand what I wrote down. So I had to cross-reference it with the video.
That's awesome, man. I love that. I love that. Keep it like I'm nerding out a lot on SOPs right now for my business and for this podcast, and so I need to pick your brain, because I would love to make a Google Doc too.
I was trying to think, how do you write a note on a move? Do you write like lift the arm, move that? But how
Oh
do you-
yeah.
I was
It gets pretty bad. It's like 2 lines. Like the ones that are like a single move, like I don't know, like a sliding door or forward break. Those are easy, but once you start getting into the nitty gritty, I might lose myself. But sometimes I can remember it. I'll be like, I can recall it real quick if I see that line.
I want to answer 2 questions. So kind of going way back to the whole like hobby, like dance as a hobby thing. I feel like having a Google Doc for dance moves is like another like level. Like I don't even know the names of moves. Like I'm not there yet. And so like, I think I've been trying to figure out like, is dancing just a casual hobby? Is it something I like really want to get into? And like I said, I was taking it more seriously recently. But in my personal, like outside of dancing, I am like a physical therapist. And so I have like an educational background in movement and how like the human body moves. And I think that gets in my head a lot, because I can tell when I haven't stretched, when I'm like really stiff, when my body isn't moving in the way that I want it to. And so it's like, how serious am I going to take dancing? Like, am I going to do the work that I need to do to make sure that I'm like dancing at a high level? Do I want to get into like training and competing and doing that? Or do I really just want to go out there, have fun? Doesn't matter if I stretch, doesn't matter if I like warm up. But so it's like my personal life, my personal background kind of gets in the way of the fun of the dancing, because I am a competitive person. I do have that like that professional training to kind of like know what dancing should, or not dancing, but just moving should look like. And so I think that kind of is like where I'm trying to figure out now, like, do I want to make this more of a serious thing, commit to it, or is it just still for fun?
Awesome. That's very cool. And it seems like you're very mindful about it. That's, I think, a practice that gets lost a lot because it's a dopamine rush, right? It's like you're going out, you're having fun, it's distracting in a way, but it's cool that you put in that thought practice into it. Seems like you might battle at times with both, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even like in my life, if I'm walking around, I'm looking at people walking, I'm like, ooh, like they could change that. So
You really judge them. You're just like,
Fix this. Nobody wants this. Fix it.
it's the thing. It's like it's the physical therapy brain. So when I'm dancing, I try to turn it off. But then if someone tells me I'm stiff, I'm like, oh God, no.
I feel like everybody's gonna walk behind Serena on the way out.
I'm like, okay, I'm not walking in
you go
front.
first, girl. I'm not gonna dance with you no more. I know she's judging my basics.
Yeah, you better make sure,
no,
you better
no,
make sure
no.
that walk is perfect.
Fix me.
Anyways, forget I said anything.
I feel like I maybe said this before, but I really, really, really love like the energy and the positive interaction that we have on, when we dance, and that connection and the personality. I think you were talking about it before, like really shows. And to see after a good dance, like just a smile and, you get a hug and then you move on to the next dance. I think it really makes your day or your night, even for like a moment. And I try to like keep that in mind when I interact with people, so outside of dance, whether it's work or really anything, any kind of interaction I have like in life outside of dance. I also like to volunteer. That's a big part of my life. And often I realize that not everybody has the same support and really blessing that you have. And to bring that positive interaction really could make somebody else's day, right? So I always try to keep that in mind. Like, just like on the dance floor, you hug, you smile, and you have a very fun, happy, and positive moment. I try to bring that also outside the dance floor in my volunteering, for example. And you see it like people smile, and it's positive, and you feel good about it.
Yeah, I love that a lot. That shows your ability and your willingness to want to make an impact in people's lives, even on a minute level, as far as an interaction of a passing by goes. That's awesome. I really love that.
I think art imitates life, and dancing is a form of art. So I associate dancing with everything. I'm always constantly trying to find like analogies and similarities, no matter what you do, like whatever your work is, or just working out. Like, I'll find these things that like connect the two, and I'm like, it's just like dancing. Like the lessons you can learn about life from dancing, or going to the gym, or cooking, or even working like a desk job. It's all connected, in my opinion. I remember one time I was dancing with a girl, and I was like new, so my thing was, if they were experienced, I would say like, show me a move, like while we were dancing. I'd be like, show me something, and then I would compile them, and then I would be invincible. And she looked at me, and she was good too, like really good. And she was like, oh, I can't do that. She's like, you're a lead. Like, I don't know. You have to figure it out. And I was like, wow. Like, just kind of like what you were saying, Flora, earlier. Like, I don't have to worry about anything. I just can go, and that's your job. And it's a very important job. You make the dance beautiful. But my job is to make sure that you don't have to worry about what we're doing. And it's just kind of like in life, like, nobody's going to help you. You have to help yourself. Like, everything that you do, you have to be aggressive. You have to be the lead. You have to take control. So I'm thinking about this on the dance floor, and I'm getting dizzy. I'm like, oh my God, it's all making sense. But yeah, so even just like some of the minute things, like I try to make those connections, because it's what makes it worth doing, when you can connect it to like why we're here and why we move.
Oh. Wait, play that.
Absolutely. There's so many connections everywhere. I mean, think about like what we do on the dance floor. We connect. Think about what like our brain and our body are doing right now, and our mouths. Like, we're connecting them all, and we're connecting with each other. It's so mean, we can get very woo-woo, right? We can get very hippy-dippy in a way, but it really does, I think, come down to just, in essence, grounding and connection. I love what you said.
And I think it's also very contagious, right? Once you see it, you're like, oh, I want to be like that. I want somebody to have that reaction after a dance with me, right? So you also then, not that you try to mimic that energy, but you just naturally flow towards being like a person like that, right? That has a positive energy. So, and it goes, and then you take that also outside the dance floor. Like, I think, like going off what you were saying, I think a lot of interaction that you have on the dance floor and a lot of things that happen while social dance, it reflects just life. The interaction that you have every day, whether it's work, whether it's relationships. So, yeah, I think it's important to always have like, just try to be a good person, right? And I think that the Latin scene, the dance community really shows that.
Awesome. Yeah, every dance is an opportunity to be a good person and change somebody's lives. I think somebody's life. I think every interaction, to your point, is an opportunity. It's beautifully said. Thank you guys so much for being on the podcast. Are there any last final comments that you'd like to share before we help out?
Just shout out to you for bringing us all together, and it's been nice, and it's nice to get to know all of you more. And like I said, 2 years ago when I walked into Lucha, I didn't know anybody. I'm like, who are these people? I'm just gonna be here in the corner. I'm not gonna ask. If somebody asks me to dance, I'll dance. If not, I'm not gonna ask anybody. But now I feel like I know a lot of people more, and things like this really gives us the opportunity to know more and more and connect more and just have fun.
Yeah, I almost feel like this is like a cheat code, because like you've had some great instructors on here. You've had some like really, good dancers on here that just have such like good advice that it's interesting, because on the dance floor we don't get to talk, like we're dancing. And so sometimes you can have the side conversation, like Joe said, we're not like getting into like, why we move. Like we're not talking about these things. So it's nice to have this as an outlet and like to listen to what people have to say. And so thank you for putting this together and doing all the work. And this has been great. And like, even I just feel like I learned so much about you guys as well. So
I would say my final thought would be all the memories I've had throughout the years with performance classes, especially at congresses. I feel like congresses can get kind of wild and they're so much fun. And I always feel like, for the past like 15 years that I've been dancing, like I always have these memories that just pop out of the blue of a congress that I went to like over 10 years ago. And the friends that I had at the time, they may or may not be dancing, or they might, be dancing a little bit, or, we kind of just don't talk. We're still friends, but we just don't see each other anymore. So I just feel like I just had so many special memories, and that's why I just want to keep it going, keep building more memories with all of you.
Yeah, I agree. I appreciate all of you. Like I said earlier, thank you. Like, I'm honored to even be a part of this. This is cool. So like, if anybody's on the fence of like whether or not to do something like this or whatever, like I would just say like, go out there, take a risk, make a memory, and if you're gonna social dance, bring a towel, right? Bring a towel.
Don't forget a towel.
Yeah, just get out there, because like it led to all these special people in my life. And like, Serena, thank you for pushing me to do that competition, because I was like, I was on the fence. I was like, I don't know, we're not gonna win, like whatever. I am so thankful. I was like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it.
we became better dancers.
Totally,
And I'm glad we did it also.
Totally did. We connected more, and it's just like, say yes. Like, even if you're not, as long as it's safe, say yes. Don't, if you have these like reservations, like, I don't know, I'm going to look this way, or I'm not that kind of like whatever, like just say yes and go for it. Like, yeah, man, because it pays off. It does.
Hell yeah. Love that, guys. Thank you guys so much for being on here. Last but not least, how can people find you online if you want to share your social media handles, if you want people to find you?
Sure. On Instagram, on at Emmanuelio, so it's EMANOLIO.
On Instagram as well, it's Flora, FLORA, Marciano, MARCIANO.
I'm on Instagram. It's private, but I pick and choose. So it's at Serena, SerenaMartz. And I do have a physical therapy page, which isn't private. So if you're interested in physical therapy, little plug. It's just Serena the PT. So my name and then the PT.
Let's go. She can fix you and your basic stuff.
I can't fix you.
My OnlyFans is no, I'm not really active on social media. Instagram is my name, Joe.Schiavo. If you want to follow me, cool.
Well, thank you guys again for being on the podcast. If you guys have watched the episodes, I know how you probably already know how these end. But I'm gonna try another flip in the beginning. I'm sure Serena doesn't laugh. Okay. But
I'm not laughing at you, I promise.
Okay. A flip, not a back.
No, not a backflip.
Oh, the mic toss? Oh, okay. I was like,
No, not in this space. No, I could not. Thank you guys for tuning into this podcast. It's been a lovely episode with all these dancers. Hope to see you guys soon in the next one. And as always, if you see us out dancing, save us a dance.
let's go.